Hey everyone, welcome back to another riveting episode of The Road Less Traveled. Tonight I have Aaron with me, of course, and then we have a special guest, Mark, from Mark's Dodgers Cards. How you doing, Mark?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. So I'm pretty excited about this one. He has two players especially that he PCs pretty heavily, and he obviously chose a pretty rare card for one of those guys tonight. So looking forward to seeing what he has. And of course, Aaron always brings something unique and awesome. So again, before we get started, always have to leave with a disclaimer. Any pop numbers in this that we share are strictly what is available on the pop reports. It is not the entire population. It is just what's known to be graded. Of course, ungraded cards can add to that total, and cards that get discovered later on can get added. So always have to lead with that. But let's get into some cards tonight. So I'm going to kick it over to Aaron to start us off.
All right, excellent. This is going to be fun. All right, I'm looking forward to this. I always like to connect with Mark, and always hanging out with you, Kyle, is a treat. So let me start off. So player introductions. I thought I would do this in a different way because I was trying to think of a player that would fit, that would be kind of interesting and entertaining, and also be something appropriate to having Mark on, since Mark is very, very laser focused in what he does. So I'm going to describe this player and see if you guys guess who he is. A little bit of pressure. So playing the who am I game. He was drafted by the White Sox. Starting off with a pretty vague hint right there. So that's step one. He played in Major League Baseball. He also coached college and coached in Major League Baseball.
Okay.
Might be warming up technically. We'll see. His best season, he hit 284 and had a 136 OPS plus.
I think I might know. I don't know.
You think you might know?
Maybe.
Want to take a stab? Only three guesses in, or three hints in?
Lopez?
No.
Okay. This thing should probably. Yeah, okay.
No, I appreciate that. His entire career, he had a .5 career WAR.
Is he a catcher?
Honestly, I have to even verify. Have him with a .5 WAR. I think he'd play wherever you'd let him.
Fair.
He did have 597 managerial wins. Here's where we get into some pretty brutal hints. He served in World War I along with Christy Mathewson, Ty Cobb, and I believe George Sisler served with him, maybe not in his same division.
Wilbur Robinson?
You're getting you're super smoking warm though. That's getting warm. He is a player who refused to play on Sundays or manage on Sundays, which actually created some conflict. That's the reason the White Sox moved on from him. At 31, he was a manager and GM, and at 32, he returned as a player to the team that he was serving as manager and GM to. And then we'll get into some brutal hints here that'll really give it away. He's a 4-time World Series champion, not as a player. He's also What's that?
Branch Rickey?
Let's see the two final hints. He's credited with developing the farm system and with integrating Major League Baseball in many ways. So, well, it's not Jackie Robinson, it is Branch Rickey. Trying to think of a fun way to introduce him, because I'm going through Hall of Famers. I'm like, he had a .5 WAR. He played for like 4 seasons, barely. So, yeah, it was. I was trying to drag it out in ways that were vague enough. The White Sox thing I thought was interesting. So he was drafted by the White Sox, and he refused to play on Sundays. And they're like, we can't afford to have a catcher on the roster that won't play on Sundays. So they moved him over to St. Louis.
The White Sox was the clue that was throwing me off the most, because he's mostly associated with the St. Louis Browns. The college one was a big hint because of his Michigan career. So yeah, that was good.
I was actually going to say his football record because that he coached football as well. So he could have really thrown some different things in there, but I thought I'd keep it vague enough that it was a little tough. He had a losing record as a manager. I mean, really, you look at it as a player, he's a 0.5. As a manager, he's a losing record, but as a GM, he's off the charts. Brilliant, obviously. So the things he did, bringing the minor league systems to compete and making St. Louis a contender and a powerhouse and developing young players. So
And then
pretty
obviously
cool.
Jackie Robinson.
Obviously, yeah. The Jackie Robinson thing, the whole move there. I mean, that time span obviously was what he's known for. So everything prior to that is almost like side note of his career. But yeah, amazing contributions to the game. So I was gonna even go with stuff like I think he threw right and batted left kind of thing. You know, like just vague stuff. But I thought we'd go with something that would be of interest to Mark, even though really in the scope of his entire career, it was not a lot of Dodgers. It was just so significant. Really, St. Louis, Browns and Cardinals was really his big contribution. So, and his player run, I was trying to think of a way to share this because we were talking about the challenge of finding common cards. And so many of the era, you kind of default to some of the big sets. So I'm trying to find ways of incorporating others. His entire player run is like 2 or 3, depending how you want to qualify it. So this became actually not even player run, just
run,
like active run. Yeah. So his common card is the 1915. I don't have a 14, so I guess I could have that as well. Cracker Jack. So the population on that Cracker Jack set obviously has 176 cards. This is an interesting thing. It's because of the copies I have. I'm going to share this. It's a 2 1/4 by 3 card dimension. So very thin. Obviously, anyone that's held a Cracker Jack card, you realize it's almost paper thin. Nearly all images are the same between 1914 and 1915. The biggest differences in my world is Eddie Collins changes teams. And you also have Christy Mathewson, obviously, who goes from very expensive to nearly impossible, but different images. So it's kind of the way I look at the set. But his 1915 Cracker Jack, so the SGC has graded 41 of them, PSA 74, so a very high population of 115 have been graded by the big two. My copy is actually pretty solid. Colors, everything else about it's like just pretty gosh darn phenomenal. It's got the perfectly placed pinhole. And of course, to read it, you got to flip it over the right way. So, wrong way, I guess, depending. So it's, I feel like that's what happens when I try and print a test and I didn't check the printer settings. It comes out reversed. I'm like, all right, reprint that. So Cracker Jack just said it's a good way to tell the difference between the years, I guess. So kind of fun. But that is my common era. What's that?
I just said that was a beautiful copy. The centering's very nice on it. Like you said, the pinhole's very well placed and makes it affordable.
Yeah, and well, the crazy thing too of these, I had 2 of them. So I was stuck with the conundrum of what do you do? I had an authentic that said minimum size not met. It didn't say trimmed. And it's probably more quality control than anything. It's probably one of those cards, if you crack it and send it in, it would probably get like a 4. Like it was a really nice card. And then I had that one, and I was trading for a big card. And so that was like the focal point of moving into something else. I had to get rid of one. So
the color on that's phenomenal. Looks great.
Thank you. The other card, if we're diving into the less common card of his, which, I mean, really with his run, you almost know what it is. It's the one I picked up at Strongsville. So 1923 Willard's Chocolate. So Canadian issue, very similar. I thought this was interesting kind of diving in. Cracker Jack had 176 card. Willard's has 180. So extremely similar. One card came per pack or product issued. They're considered extremely rare because they are a Canadian issue and smaller, whatever else. There's just a lot of kind of interesting challenges. Probably just not a lot of them ever issued. And then the way they're issued was obviously rough. Interesting on that one. So Cracker Jacks are 2 1/4 by 3. This one is designed to be 2 by 3 1/4. So, I mean, without getting into like calculus, that sounds like they're almost the same. I mean, I'm sure there's, geometry wise, it's a slight difference. Mine is super duper trimmed up. Mine has writing, mine has everything. So the story of this, our friend Joe ended up with 2, which is just silly. This was his less desirable of the 2. He's a big collector of Branch Rickey. So with this one, writing, it's obviously extremely trimmed. And what I did is I actually pulled one from the set that should have the entire border. So it's been pretty severely, and they say evidence of, I mean, that's, evidence of hurting yourself. Like there's a bone sticking out your leg, like you're hurt. Yeah, that's evidence of is a bit silly on that card.
There's almost a lack of evidence because there's no border. Unless you knew there was a border.
Right. Yeah. I think I had the borderless version. Prove I didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think it's an error. It's a misprint.
What an image of his face, though. His portrait there.
It is really, really cool. And these are so scarce. I always try and compare to some of the big hitters in the set. SGC is graded 8. PSA is graded 8. So Joe had 2. There was one that it was a 3. It went in auction. And it would have been one of like the 2 or 3 biggest cards I had if I would have kept bidding on it to try and win it. So at some point I said, I need to still have a place to live. I can't bid on this thing anymore. So I'm going to bow out. So he was willing to move that over to me, which was pretty phenomenal. But with a population of 16, pretty tough. Ruth is, I want to say, has less than 20 graded by either company too. So even if it was the biggest well-known name of the time, there's not many of that in that set. So that is what I brought for y'all.
Those are great.
Very cool card. You don't see those hardly ever. So, and like Mark said, the image on that's phenomenal. A lot of his cards, because there's not many of them, but a lot of them are a portrait style. But the V100, in my opinion, has the most detail in the image. It's up close. You can see, he looks like a manager in that yes. card, in my opinion. So
yeah,
definitely.
But
yeah, it is interesting too. I feel like managers. At least myself, I think of retired players. I think someone that's 50. I think someone that's my age. But he was born in, I think, 1881, and he started managing at the age of 31. So he was a baby. He was a manager and GM in his 30s. So even this one, I mean, he would have been, if that was real to form for age, he would have been barely 40.
Yep.
So young man.
Excellent. Well, I will go next so we can save our guests the best for last. I went similar era as Aaron. So and my player also would have the White Sox as a major clue for who he is. So I'll kind of do the same thing as Aaron a little bit here. My player is known as a player. He spent 17 years in the majors, from 1912 through 1929. All but one were with the White Sox. He revolutionized his position when he played it, and was not known for his bat. And this is a bit more of a clue. His teammates were caught up in a major scandal that he was a bit, he was too high of character to be involved in, and was never actually asked to even partake in the fix of the 1919 World Series. So, and then he had a record at his position that was held up until 1945 when Rick Ferrell broke it, if that gives you a hint.
Absolutely.
Any guesses?
I think I definitely know it.
Go ahead, Aaron.
Is his name Ray, ending in Schalk?
Yes. It is Ray Schalk. So Ray was born in Harville, Illinois in 1892. He debuted for the White Sox on August 11th, 1912, and he was with the White Sox until 1928. He spent his final season in the majors with the New York Giants in 1929. Well known as a catcher, he was not a very good hitter, but his claim to fame was being able to call games, which was new for catchers at the time. He was part of the game, but he really took it to a new level. And his defensive prowess behind the plate was also relatively new for being a catcher. So he, again, in the World Series in 1919, the famous Black Sox scandal, he hit 304, which combined with his honest and honorable reputation, the orchestrators never even approached him for the fix. So there was never any reason to target him as a potential thrower of that World Series. And then he did hold the record for games caught up until 1945 when fellow Hall of Famer Rick Farrell broke it. So the common card that I have for him, this set is relatively common, although it's not as common as you would think. It is a 1922 E121. This is the catching pose for Schalk. He has two poses in this. One is batting, one is catching. The catching pose is the more common of the two. And this is the series of 120. So this set, there's the 1921 E121, which is the series of 80. And then the series of 120 was produced in 1922, which is very key when determining rookie cards for that time. Produced in 1922, it came from the American Caramel Company in Lancaster and York, Pennsylvania, and it was distributed with caramel candy products. There are certain variations of this set. So the photos are all Felix Mendelssohn based photos. But the backs on these, there are some variations that different companies took the base of the card and put their own marketing on the back, which can increase the rarity, but they're also not really considered part of this series of 120 set per se. So this card, you'll see a decent amount of. E121s are popping up on eBay all the time. Maybe not of Schalk, but just in general. But I was surprised at how little pop there is on that set comparatively. It still kind of constitutes as more common than a T206 Wagner. However, there are 21 graded by PSA of this pose, 21 graded by PSA, and then SGC has two different flips or labels for that set. So SGC can get pretty messy with their pop report.
Their pop report's such a mess.
Yeah, and it's really annoying. But between the two different labels, there are 30 confirmed and designated catching poses graded. There are an additional 15 undefined poses that are graded for Ray Schalk. Now, the ratio between the other two poses is about 2 to 1 catching to batting. So I'd imagine of those 15 undefined, there's around 8 or 9 additional catching poses. So that would, put it around, let's say, 53 or so, somewhere in there, 52, 53 from SGC. And then CGC has 3 Ray Schalks graded, but 0 of them are defined as far as the pose. So that's even worse. Again, would probably suspect 1 or 2 of them are the catching. The confirmed total is 51. for that specific pose, but given the likelihood that there's an additional 8 to 10 or so at minimum the undefined in the pop reports, that puts it at over 60, which would make it more common than the T206 Hannes Wagner by very few. So that is my common card.
Now you need to send that in to get graded so that you can increase the pop.
That is,
so that you can qualify.
Yeah, that is very true, and yes, although I have zero desire to grade many of my cards. So
I was going to agree.
if they ever offered a free promotion, maybe, but. The rare card is going to look very identical, and this is also one that's going to come with a caveat with it. But it is the 1923 W572 strip card. Let's see, probably make that a little bit closer. Very similar image because it's identical. Again, these were both from Felix Mendelssohn. The W573s were produced in 1923. The company was CIFS, which was that stands for Copyright International Feature Service. Something I didn't know before doing this research on this. It was a William Randolph Hearst company. William Randolph Hearst was an American newspaper publisher and politician. He developed the nation's largest newspaper chain and media company, Hearst Communications, at the time. So, very, very prominent figure. CIFS is often seen on the card. Definitely one that's better conditioned than this you'll be able to see. But there are several other acronyms that might appear. And I didn't write them all out. They were a little bit confusing, but if you're interested, you can look those up. It is a way to kind of find variations in the set. These were distributed in strips of 10, although the associated product or any associated product is unconfirmed from what I could tell. The guess is that they potentially came with candy, which was common distribution products at the time. And then the player pop for these. So this one has a PSA pop of 11, and he only has one pose in this set, unlike the E121s. PSA is 11, SGC is 10, and from what I can tell, Beckett and CGC are 0 each, unless they have them labeled something odd. I could not find a Shulk in there. So total population is 21. Now, the caveat for these is up until the last few years, strip cards were largely budget pieces. You could find Hall of Famers for, $15, $20, and you still can get them pretty cheap. I think I paid around $25 or $30 for this, but they're climbing up in price, especially the real photo strip cards. As the common cards continue to climb in price, it's a rising tide raises all boats. These are climbing in price as well. It's getting harder and harder to find them for under $40 or $50. Meaning that before, when it didn't make sense to grade them because it didn't increase the value that much, or it was the grading cost was worth more than the card. Now, as the price increases, you might see more of these come to light in the pop reports. So check back in a few years, come back to this video in a few years to see if this if that prediction comes to fruition, because I do think strip cards are on the up and up, and you'll see more of these graded. So that is my player and cards for tonight.
All right.
So,
well, I guess that's me now, huh?
Yep. Turn it over to you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do it a little different. I'm not gonna have a lot of suspense around who I'm talking about, since I've already told both of you anyway. I was deciding between two. I wanted to do a Hall of Fame player, and I was deciding between two Dodger pre-war Hall of Famers, Zach Wheat and Dazzy Vance. Dazzy Vance, I think, doesn't get enough attention, but I didn't have any of the I didn't really have any very common Dazzy Vance card in my collection, so I figure I'll do Zach Wheat. Zach Wheat is the Dodger all-time record holder in many offensive categories, and in the top 5 in most offensive categories, I'd say. Top 5 in average, RBIs, and runs. He's the number 1 in hits with 2,806. He's number 1 in doubles, triples, bases, total bases, which makes sense when you know he's number 1 in hits. He was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1959. He played most of his career was in the his career was in the 10s and 20s, and he played left field for what is now known as the Dodgers. He was an interesting player in that he transitioned from the dead ball to the more live ball. So he was just sort of in that area. And he did hit. He was like kind of a player that he was a really good hitter. He was in the top 10 many years in most offensive categories, but very rarely at the very top. So he hit 375 twice. One time he didn't have enough at bats. And then the other time I think he missed out to a guy named Hornsby, I think, by about 50 points. It was Hornsby just killed it that year. He did lead the league in batting one year with 325. So a couple interesting things about him is that he was friends with Casey Stengel and took responsibility or claimed responsibility for getting him a contract when he was starting his career. So all you Yankee fans can thank Zach Wheat for that. And he was also known for holding out and negotiating his contract a lot. And his wife was basically his agent and negotiated his contracts. Every year he held out longer and got more funds. Earlier, he was thought to have had Cherokee heritage, but the research with the Society of American Baseball Research sort of debunked that. Although some people still sort of think that maybe the case, they did a comprehensive research to debunk it. But anyway, he still holds all these Dodger career records, despite having played long ago. And I think that it speaks to both the strength of his career and also the fact that it takes a long time with one team to get 3,000 hits and or 500 home runs, and the Dodgers haven't had anyone do that. So there you go. All right. So I thought I was going to be. I actually pulled 3 cards. I had one in reserve in case the common card that I picked was not common enough, which was T206, which is. But I'm not doing that one because Aaron let me off the hook, and I can do the one I wanted to do, which is the 1915 Cracker Jack. Thank you, Aaron. And that's the one that I pulled. Is his 1915 Cracker Jack, which is one of my favorite cards and definitely my favorite Zach Wheat card that I've got in my collection. And here's the back with some nice little caramel staining on it. Not too bad, but a little bit. So this card. I was listening to the numbers that you rattled off, Aaron. This has been graded more than Branch Rickey, but not by much. It's been 91 times by PSA and 44 times by SGC. I didn't check the other grading services, but I assume it's been checked. It's been done sometime by then. As Aaron mentioned, these were distributed in boxes of Cracker Jacks, or you could also send away for them in 1915, unlike 1914.
But that one with the staining.
This one I was not sent away for, unless somebody sent away for it and had a bunch of junk on their hands and ran the card anyway. So you never know. All right. My more rare card or less common card. He's mentioned you do the E121, the 1922s, and mentioned other backs. I was thinking about pulling that one because I got the Whitmore version of it. There's one graded by PSA, and I have it. But somebody else bought a raw one on eBay recently. There was an auction, so maybe there'll be two soon. Who knows? But I picked something different. I love these cards. I picked the W575-2, and here's my version of it. I'll show it first. Here it is, and these are blank backs. And these were there's 40 cards in this set, and they're all photos that have facsimile signatures on them too. And I love them. I think they have different photos than in a lot of other sets. There are photos you don't see too often. It's got a great run of stars in the set. It was they're hand cut strip cards, but photos as you mentioned, and they are produced by Chromo Grave or Photo Company in Detroit. I think I pronounced that correctly. And I'm not sure how they distribute. Actually, it was like hard for me to find information about this set. If you all have more information about it, I'm dying to know. I did some internet sleuthing to try and see what I could find, but I couldn't really find all that much. The population of these cards is pretty scarce. There's 7 examples graded by PSA and 7 examples graded by SGC. I know, Aaron, you like to compare it to Ruth. I did the same thing. And PSA and SGC have graded 18 and 19 Ruth cards. So that's probably better approximation of the number that are out there. This one that I have is one of the PSA 4s. There are 3 PSA 4s, and there's one 4.5, and that's the highest one. And then the highest one in SGC is also a 4. Not that really matters all that much, but just kind of interesting. And then I forget which of you mentioned about the cost of these cards going up and up. This is what kind of made me want to pull this card, is because I was following one of these was just auctioned off recently through Greg Morris. Underbidder right here. Underbidder. Okay, on eBay, on Greg Morris, its front looked nice. The back was totally destroyed, like it was taken out of an album and took a lot of the print off of whatever was in the album. And that went for $372. And this one here, I looked up in my records. I bought this one in February 2024 for $257. So that is crazy. Change in demand for these kind of cards. But anyway, I'm just glad I have it in my collection, and it's not going anywhere. So that's my example. I don't know what you all think about this set, but I really like this set, and I think the other ones, I don't have any other examples from it, but I was also watching there was a Jake Daubert that was going too, and I was watching that, but it also went crazy high, so I got out of it. But I love this set.
Well, I will say I love that set. I may or may not have the Jake Daubert on the way, even though it did go crazy high.
Oh, you bought it. Good for you.
Thankfully, it went crazy high should be a really small card. So it went like a Hall of Famer should, honestly, which he's borderline, so he's worth it.
I think it was like one for like $150 or something like that.
Yeah, it was definitely somewhere in that mid-1s kind of range. And I was pretty much maxed out. I was done. I was the underbidder. I tossed a 367 in there, and so unless they magically guessed my number, they were willing to go even higher because they were the full bid higher than I was. So who knows where it would have gone had I been goofy and kept going. I love that set. That is one of my all-time Mount Rushmore of sets. I think that's probably in my top 4 favorite sets. Absolutely love it. Yeah, the Ruth would be epic and iconic, but just tracking them down is hard. So
the images are so cool, like all the different, because they're not poses you see other places. So it's a lot of the time.
It's taken some time since COVID. COVID caused the hobby boom. And up until recent years, the strip cards never fully experienced that boom, but people are starting to realize that just because there's a W in front of the set designation doesn't mean it's not a special card. And that set, like you said, is an amazing set. Beautiful, unique images that you don't see too often, and it's rare. It's very rare. So that's a great example.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the strip cards that are with photos. Like, I don't really understand why they wouldn't be valued as high as some of the other ones. Like those, and like also the W517s, like have really nice, yeah.
So I paid like 25 or 30 for this.
Yeah, that's great.
And there was a lot of one seller on eBay had a bunch of W572s that were cut down just to the image, kind of like Aaron's V100.
Yeah,
it was a borderless W572, and they had 3 of them, and I got them for between 20 and 25 a piece. They were all Hall of Famers. And then there was another one. It was a George Sisler. I got it for $25, and because it was, borderless, but because they're strip cards, to me, mentally, I can fully overcome, any cut flaw to it, because they were designed to be cut. So right. I don't necessarily need a border.
Sure, some kid cut out and said, "Hey, I want the picture."
Exactly. So as unpopular as they have been, it's still a real photo image of players from that era, especially Hall of Famers, and hopefully people watching this episode are a little bit shocked by how rare some of those strip card sets are, because they are they're not super common, or at least not as common as you would think.
Yeah, just don't buy the Dodgers. It'd be good.
Yeah, there you go. Love the W575-2s. Doesn't that set have a nickname like the shoulder, or is that?
What is it? Shoulder something?
Yeah,
shoulder signature, shoulder autograph.
Something about the signature on the shoulder, or something like that. Because it's kind of.
There's one of them that's like shoulderless.
Yes, that's yeah.
It's separate from this one. I thought there was some sort of.
I think it has to do with the signature, if I recall correctly, but that might be wrong.
Is it like SOS, like signature on shoulder?
That sounds
maybe.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, that sounds right.
That's the SOS set.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, it's an awesome set. That really is. Like, big delay. There's actually a couple more out there I'm watching, so hopefully this doesn't air too soon.
Yeah. It won't come out for about a week, so if it's not
glorious. Yes. By then I'll be bragging about 2 more, hopefully in the collection, because I'm working on it. So we'll see.
Good luck.
No Dodgers. Yeah.
Love it. Well, any closing thoughts from either of you gentlemen?
No, I mean, thanks for having me on. This has been a blast, and y'all shared some awesome cards. It was great to check them out and everything. So thanks for having me.
Appreciate that, Mark. Aaron picked
good,
really
always good
guests.
to hang out with both of you guys. Yeah, I'm going to see you twice this week, Kyle. But
yeah.
Mark, it's good to catch up. I know you've been crazy busy this year, but we're still, keeping in touch, texting, whatever else. So
yep.
It's been wonderful. Yeah, I always know when there's a text coming from Mark. Either it's something unique that I might have overlooked, or just some how you doing stuff. So it's always good to catch up. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, if anybody watching isn't subscribed to Mark or Aaron, obviously, I'll link their channels below. Please check them out. They have fantastic content. And thank you again very much for watching. If you want to be on this series and have cards that would fit the bill, please reach out to me. We're always looking for more guests. And if you like what you see, please like, comment, subscribe. So until next time, live free, dream big.